Hello everybody, welcome back to Clark's Horrors, the show in which I set out to try and prove the existence of ghosts once and for all. So today I've got a very special episode for you indeed, but before we get into it, I just want to give a huge thanks to all the love and support I've had since the last video. Absolutely blown away by it. I will be doing a giveaway once I reach 500 subscribers. For those of you that don't know, I'm also a horror author, and I will be giving away a signed book bundle to one of my subscribers once I hit that goal, so stay tuned for that. So this one's actually going to be quite an interesting one for me personally, because from what I've heard and what I can tell, the villagers are actually a little bit hostile towards ghost hunters. Because of the legend of the place, it does attract a lot of attention, as you can probably imagine, from TV shows, radios, to just regular people like you and I. I have emailed the head of the neighbourhood watch prior to going. Today is Tuesday. I'm staying the night there on Saturday. Haven't heard back from him yet, but essentially I just let him know of my intentions, and I asked him if he or anyone else that he knows that lives there believes any of the things that are said about the village to be true. But without wanting to beat around the bush too much, I'm going to give you a bit of a history of the village itself and the ghosts that are said to frequent it, and then we're going to jump straight into the footage from my stay. I'll see you on the other side. The village of Pluckley is mostly agricultural in land use and is located 5 miles west of Ashford, Kent, in the south of England. Earliest records of Pluckley appear in the Domesday Book in 1086, when the village was under the management of a Saxon knight named John Foley. At this time, it was a larger community than that of Ashford. The village continued to expand down the hills and into the surrounding woods until the 14th century, when it was then ravaged by the Black Death. Those that survived retreated further uphill to the original village, where it was believed to be safer. The Deering family are a noteworthy name when discussing the village of Pluckley. They began to amass power through a vast collection of books, charters, maps and manuscripts during the time of Henry II, and a part of their collection can still be found in the Centre of Kentish Studies at County Hall. The Darings inherited the Surrendon Manor to the east of the village. Lord Daring is believed to have escaped from Cromwell's Roundheads through a narrow, curved-topped window at the corner of the manor, which led to what are now known as Daring windows. These still feature on many of the properties throughout the village. The local woods are also named after the Darings, the Daring Woods, though they are better known as the Screaming Woods for reasons we will get into momentarily. During World War II, bombs caused much damage and earned the village the nickname Bomb Alley. The Royal Observer Corps had a lookout post with a bomb-proof shelter, which is still in existence at Prebbles Hill, and 3 anti-tank pillboxes around the village. Pluckley was featured in the 1989 Guinness Book of Records as the most haunted village in England, with a living population of just over 1,000 and a ghost population of 12 to 16, that's approximately 1 ghost to every 89 residents. However, residents are said to be unwelcoming to ghost hunters, and in 2009 even went so far as to cancel Halloween altogether, asking local police for help chasing off outsiders. In the 1970s, a group of ghost hunters were given permission to spend the night locked in St. Nicholas's Church. When the vicar came to let them out in the morning, he asked how their night had been. "Uneventful," one of the tired ghost hunters said. "If it were not for the company of your dog, it would have been a rather boring night indeed." "Actually," the vicar responded, "I do not have a dog." Aside from the ghostly dog in St. Nicholas's Church, the documented spirits of Pluckley are as follows. Greystone House. A monk haunts the Greystone House. Said to have lived in Tudor times, the monk had fallen in love with a neighbouring girl. He is believed to have died of a broken heart after she passed away unexpectedly. The monk was last seen in 1989. Along Station Road, several people have reported hearing a man and a woman talking, along with the playful yapping of a dog. Their voices grow louder and eventually disappear as they are almost on top of you. The Red Lady of Rose Court. In a bizarre love triangle, the Red Lady is said to have fallen in love with the monk at Greystones, though upon realising his heart was with another, she drank a concoction of ivy and poison berries. Strange groans and sighs are said to disturb the area of Rose Court during the night. Interestingly, the Red Lady has also been seen wandering the graveyard of St. Nicholas's Church. The Gypsy of Pinnock Bridge. The Gypsy, aka the Watercress Lady, was an eccentric but ultimately harmless woman that would sell her wares to the villagers as they passed her on the Pinnock Bridge. She was often smoking a pipe, and one night, while she slept with this pipe lit, it set her tattered clothing alight in a flash. The next morning, a pile of ash and bone was found. Her spirit has been seen many times, often manifesting as a screaming, burning spectre. The Highwayman of Fright Corner. A particularly ruthless outlaw would often leap out, sword drawn, and rob or even kill passers-by. He met his end with his back to a nearby oak tree, where he was pinned through the chest by the law. Some say his spirit can still be seen to this day, suspended with a sword through his heart. The Screaming Woods. There are several fake news articles online in relation to the Screaming Woods, though many people note its unnerving atmosphere, and will often hear screaming so loud it sends birds to the sky. The Schoolmaster. The schoolmaster hung himself from a tree on Dick Buss's Lane in the 1920s. He would later be found by some of his students. A second hanging victim is that of a war colonel, though he hung himself in Parkwood and has been spotted wandering between the trees. A phantom coach and horses have also been spotted at several locations around the village throughout the years. There is little information on this, but it appears as though they do not stick to any set time or place to make an appearance. The Screaming Man. At the old brickworks, a man fell to his death and was buried behind a wall of clay. According to some, his screams can still be heard to this day. The White Lady. Many places claim to have a White Lady of their own, but this is perhaps the most interesting I've come across. During World War I and also World War II, when the manor was used as a base for the US Embassy, the White Lady was spotted on many occasions, one of which her ghost was even shot by a spooked employee. She has also been spotted as a misty form in the grounds of St. Nicholas's Church, where it is said she was buried in the south vault, within 7 lead coffins, and then 1 oak coffin over the top, to preserve her. These are just the most notable of all the spirits. Honourable mentions go to the unnamed ghosts of the local pubs, and the spirits of the blacksmith, the miller, and the baker, who are said to stalk their respective buildings, but mostly through the medium of moving objects or creating cold spots. It seems as though you are never far from the dead in this quiet, picturesque village. What is up, everyone? We are back in Pluckley, and it's just gone 8 PM, it's pitch black, and I am alone in St. Nicholas's Church graveyard. Now, let's turn the camera around. Put some light on here. This is, of course, the place in which the White Lady and the Red Lady have been seen on multiple occasions. And it was in this very building here that the ghost hunters encountered that dog overnight. The dog that, of course, did not actually exist. Now, I said I was going to set my camera up in the Screaming Woods overnight, but being in this place alone is just giving me the shivers, and I've actually found this tree here. You can see just up there in the middle, hopefully you can see, I've put my camera up there. We should capture anything that's going to happen in here tonight. Now I'm just going to do a quick walk around of the graveyard. I'll probably speed this up in edit because it's actually quite a large place. But just to give you sort of an idea of what we're dealing with here. don't mean to walk across the graves, but there doesn't seem to be any proper footpaths around this bit. But I've been in quite a few graveyards, as weird as that sounds, at night in my younger years, and something about this place is just giving me the creeps. Maybe it's stories, maybe it's something else, but I just constantly feel like I'm being watched. And I swear to God, I just heard something right there. As you can see, it goes all the way around here. Ignore that thing to the right of my screen, that's just my torch. Trying to multitask. All the way up here. I'm focusing more on my camera than my surroundings right now. So if you happen to see anything in the playback, please do let me know. I'm not going to spend too long here though, because first off, it's obviously giving me the creeps, and secondly, there are some houses nearby, and I don't want to draw any unwanted attention. Let's go see what's through here. Okay, well that's kind of creepy. There's just like one grave on its own over there. Let's go check it out. These actually look kind of fresh. This one, can't read. It's got bird muck all over it. That one's 2022, so that is quite recent. I'm not going to hang about here too much, because I'm more interested in the older stuff. So there's this massive square plot here, right at the edge of the graveyard. Now, I'm not sure if I'm missing something, but it doesn't appear to be marked, but I'm wondering if this is the tomb of the White Lady that was said to be buried inside 6 iron coffins and then 1 wooden coffin. It's within this sort of fenced off area. A couple of other graves in here, but it just seems a bit odd. I am now walking down Station Road, going towards the Pinnock Bridge, where the ghost of the gypsy lady is said to linger. This stretch of road here is actually where people have reported hearing a male and a woman talking animatedly, along with the yapping of a dog, and as it approaches, the voices suddenly disappear as they reach you. Now, there's a road closed sign up ahead here. That's not going to stop me though, because I am on foot. Hopefully they've closed it for something spooky. I spent the better part of the last hour walking the dark streets of Pluckley alone. Now, it's true what they say, this place does have a different atmosphere about it after dark, but so far I've not encountered anything untoward. Hoping for some spooky horses or a carriage, nothing of the sort. Turns out the Watercress Lady Bridge is a lot further away than I realised. So I'm heading back to the car now, and I'm going to drive down there and then swing over to the Screaming Woods to get some footage there before it hits midnight. And I'll see you there, or if not before, if something happens, I'll try and capture it. But I will say, growing up in sort of village-like areas most of my life, there hasn't been anything really that set me on edge, apart from the graveyard earlier. That was something about that I just didn't like. But yeah, I'll catch up with you soon. Right, guys, it turns out if I'd have kept walking for about another 2 minutes, I would have actually found the Pinnock Bridge where the spirit of the Watercress Lady, or the Gypsy Lady, is said to appear in a flaming form. I'll just turn the camera around so you can see. But here we are. Very small bridge. Runs under the road. Now this is where she would sell watercress and other bits and bobs to people passing by. She'd often be seen smoking a pipe, and it's that very pipe that burnt her to death while she was sleeping. It said she fell asleep with it lit in her mouth, and it set fire to her tattered clothes. They found her body somewhere around here, burnt to a crisp, as the story goes, just a pile of blackened bones. And she would also be under the bridge sometimes. However, it appears to have filled in a fair bit over the years. It's not very deep anymore. Don't know if you can see that very well, but so this is it. No sign of the Watercress Lady, unfortunately. So this is just the other side of the road, just to show you quick. It's actually called the Pinnock Bridge. Don't know if I mentioned that. But just around the corner from here is actually going to be Fright Corner, where the highwayman is said to leap out on his prey and rob them. So I'm going to go see if I can get leapt out on and robbed by a spirit. And then I'm going to head over to the Screaming Woods. See you shortly. Alrighty guys, so this is what they call a Fright Corner. This is where the highwayman used to jump out on people, and now it's said that the spirit of the highwayman actually jumps out on people. So I've left my car down the road, come for a little stroll. See if we can catch him in the act, so to speak. There's my baby. I'm not going to drag this out because we both know it's probably not going to happen. Onto the woods. Welcome to the Screaming Woods, otherwise known as the Deering Woods. So far, the only thing scary about this place is how fucking muddy it is. I'm the only person here, as far as I can tell. No other cars down in the car park. But this place got its name from, as you can probably guess, the sounds that people hear in the forest, especially at night. Loud, agonising screams are said to ring out and send the birds from the trees to the sky. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to keep filming. Not going to show you the whole thing, obviously, but if I capture anything, I can just cut straight to it. And if nothing happens and the video moves on to the next section, then you know why. But I've got no signal here, so I'm going to try my very damn best not to get lost, because as you can tell, it's very dark, and I'm pretty sure it's going to be quite easy to lose my way in here. So I'm still out in the woods, getting pretty close to midnight now. My phone's getting low on battery. I've not heard anything, not seen anything. I'm just getting more and more muddy and generally not having a great time with it. So I'm going to head back to the car now. Probably come back in the morning so I can do a bit more filming in the daylight. Now, the reason I actually wanted to go in there last night for a drink was because things were often said to move around on their own and loud bangs would often occur. It was said, though, that they weren't very welcoming to even the people of the village. They just weren't very nice people that ran the place, which may explain their sudden disappearance as well. But as you can see, it is now closed completely, and there is a to-let sale. So if anyone out there is interested in letting a haunted pub, please do let me know when you open it up, and I would love to come and have a drink. And behind me here, you can now see gravestones where the monk was said to have died of a broken heart, and his spirit now walks between the surrounding trees in this area. As you can see, a lot of the place has been just turned into fields now. There's a few trees around this side, but his spirit is said to have been seen just wandering around this area in general. I'm pretty sure it's just a normal house, so it looks like somebody's living there, so can't be that spooky if you ask me. But somebody's shooting. Let's move on to the next spot. And finally, the last area that I really thought was worth covering was Dick Buss's Lane. Just at the end of the lane here, this is where in the 1920s the body of the schoolmaster was found hanging by the pupils of the school. So as you can see, there are not a lot of trees around this area, so it's quite possible that it was one of these very trees behind me here that his body was found hanging in. So upon reviewing the footage from the night vision camera in the graveyard, unfortunately it altered its position slightly. It must have slipped in the tree, so I didn't capture a lot of the graveyard. But pay attention here to the upper left corner of the screen. This is immediately after I'd left the graveyard and started down Station Road. It appears I was being followed by two people, which I did not notice at the time. And the only other thing that I caught throughout the entire night was this little dude.
So that was Pluckley, the supposedly most haunted village in the whole of the UK. Let me know what you thought down in the comments. Have you visited Pluckley before? Did you see something or hear anything? Obviously in my 24 hours there, I was not lucky enough to experience anything myself. There is a case to be made that maybe I was just in the wrong place at the wrong time, or had I stayed there a bit longer, I may have seen something. Obviously my camera in the graveyard did let me down a little bit when it slipped in the tree, so I didn't capture what I was hoping to capture overnight, but potentially that's an excuse to go back and try again in the future. I never did hear back from the head of the neighbourhood watch, though through a little bit of snooping I've seen that he has been online on several occasions, so there's a good chance that he has seen the email but chose to just ignore it, which I do understand, but it's obviously a little disappointing as well. I will say that the people that I met there were very friendly and more than willing to help me, because I actually went up there the weekend before, for those of you that don't know, my car broke down and several of them came out, gave me cups of teas, jump started my car for me, and generally were just really friendly and helpful. So there's a good chance that the people that say they're not welcoming to outsiders were generally just being a pain in their arse, from what I can tell. Just be respectful, that's all it is. Wherever you go, these kind of things especially, just be respectful to the people that live there. So I'm going to have to say overall that Pluckley near Ashford, Kent has potential. I'm still not convinced one way or another, but it's definitely a nice, cool little place to go and check out if you're interested in this kind of thing. And my next video will be at Tiny Tim's Tea Room, and I can tell you for a fact that that place is haunted, so stay tuned for that one. It will be coming very soon. I've already filmed it, and thanks so much for sticking around.